Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 I'm going to do this part too. Om Agyanatimirandasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagaratam Sahagana Raghunatanavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsta Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinobandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoshite Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vinde Vaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Vipura Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatya Deshataya. Okay. So we're going to read from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 24.
We can repeat it another time, another two times.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 24. Chapter 6, text 24. Okay. Sanischayena yoktavyo yogo nirvina chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamams tyaktva sarvan ashe sataha manasavendriya gramam viniyamya samantata. Does anybody else want to read it?
You want call and response, or you just one person reading through?
One person reading through.
Sanichayena yoktavyo yogo nirvina chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamams tyagva sarvamashe satchata manasai gramam viniyamya samataha.
Sa, we can do call and response to this part if you want.
Sa,
that yoga system.
That yoga system.
Nischayena,
Nischayena.
With firm determination.
With firm determination.
Yoktavya.
Must be practiced.
Yoga. In such practice. Anirvina chetasa. Without deviation. Sankalpa. Material desires. Prabhavan. Born of. Kaman. Sense gratification. Tyaktva. Giving up. Sarvan. All. Asheshata. completely.
completely.
Manasa,
Manasa,
by the mind.
by the mind.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Indriya gramam,
Indriya gramam,
the full set of senses.
full set of senses.
Viniyamya,
Viniyamya,
regulating.
regulating.
Samantataha,
Samantata,
from all sides.
from all sides.
The translation is, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of false ego, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan nishchayad daryat tat tat karma pravartanat. Sangha tyagat satovrite sadvir bhakti prasidyati. The process of Bhakti Yoga can be executed successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus, Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus, the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. So, when I first read this purport, I loved the story in it. It really stuck with me. And I remember I read it months ago and I just wrote it down, just the verse to remember it. And then whenever I wanted to sign up to do this, I always thought that was going to be the one I did it on, but I didn't reread it for a long time. And then this weekend, I was feeling just like so overwhelmed with like everything that I committed to do this year. Like I have gotten a lot of new clients. I'm preparing for licensure as a mental health counselor. So there's a lot of like supervision and studying for an exam and taking an exam. And I have a window in which I have to do that. And it's like the window also in which that I'm like organizing the courses in Miami. So it's like, and then the marketing for that, like doing some online stuff, also doing workshops. It just felt like, and staffing courses, it just felt like everything was happening at once. And I was just so anxious. I was crying. I was so overwhelmed. And I just couldn't see how it could all be done. And I was really focused on like my effort, on like what I was going to have to do. And none of it felt like enough. Like none of it was actually, and I was really actually focused on the courses, because that is the thing that I feel like most dependent on Krishna for. Like with everything else, with like taking on more clients and doing coaching and therapy and even like studying for licensure and doing the supervision stuff, all that feels like stuff that's like in my wheelhouse, like stuff I can do. but organizing the courses is like this huge task that I've never done anything like it before. And it's really a big risk. And I just remember like all last year, I felt like this call to be like a little bit bigger in my role of like coach and therapist. Like I knew I was feeling kind of stagnant and I felt like I needed to do something more. And I was just letting myself get stuck in confusion about like what that more was. And then when at the end of the advanced course, when David invited us to like, anybody can do this, it was just so clear to me that like that's what the more was. Like that's what I have to do. And I didn't feel anxious then. And I didn't feel anxious when I was like finding the venues, and even the first few workshops, I was like really okay. Like I was really connected to this principle that I feel like is illustrated in this verse of like, just show up, just like show Krishna that I'm sincere, and he's going to find that really endearing, and he's just going to do like, and this is the part where I was getting stuck, is that like, he's going to find me endearing, and then he's going to do what I want. And that was my idea. I think that this weekend, it kind of really hit me that like, maybe that's not going to happen. Like maybe he's not going to do what I want. And maybe it's going to be what he wants, and that's going to be perfect, but it may not look how I want it to. It may look like losing money or having no one show up or having 4 people show up. And I just realized that I was feeling all this pressure and I was creating it all myself. And it was a lot. Like I couldn't sleep. I was like laying in bed and I was just like staying up late, and I was trying to come up with, my mind was like frantic, and I was trying to come up with all of these ideas of things I could do. But it wasn't fully in the spirit of just doing my duty and like trusting and surrendering. It was with attachment, it was like, I need to do this so that I get some kind of outcome. And and so then I was reading this verse and I was meditating on it, and so, because like I think the first time I read it, the part that stood out for me is like, success is sure. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Because I think I get like that with this practice too, like just wanting to somehow be at like whatever the finish line is, like to know everything, have read all the books, like do everything like really well and perfectly. And I also think that maybe that's not the point. And so just this idea that like the sparrow wasn't like, she was so determined. She wasn't thinking, I'm going to do this so that Garuda comes and saves me. She was like, no, I'm just going to do this. Like, this is the only thing there is to do right now. And that, I don't know if I'm being really clear, but that distinction felt really important to me. And so, there was like this, like an even deeper surrender that kind of happened for me as I was reading this verse. And it was along the lines of like really letting go of like having this amount of people in the courses, and then using that to like change the community here and make all of my friends and family come, and then be able to do whatever I want to do after that, like with whatever money I make off of it. And I was really attached to not like losing any money, like that was where my attachment was. And and then I was just thinking that like in the spirit of like surrendering more deeply, it's like it's surrendering that outcome too, that like just kind of grounding more into, I'm doing this because it does feel so important, and it feels like I felt so clear about doing it, and the principle, like the parts of it that feel important to me are like something you said, Melanie, actually, about like, this is changing the world, like, because this is something I believe in. I believe that this actually brings Krishna consciousness in practice to people, like in a place where it's like, it doesn't feel very prevalent here in Miami. And also like just healthy communication and like relationship skills that also doesn't feel super prevalent here. yeah, and then I'm doing it for more of that reason, because like I believe in that, and I believe in the principle, and I believe in like how it can ideally change the world. And then even seeing it more in like my own process, that like I'm actually the most happy and the most enlivened when I just like sit on my hands, where I'm not trying to grasp or like make anything look a certain way, where I actually just surrender and like find out that Krishna was like holding me the whole time. And that, like, I feel like I just need to be continually reminded, because I can get very stuck in the doing. And I used to really think that like my doing was connected to the outcome. And then, adding these more Krishna conscious principles in, it's still yeah, it was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna do, and then Krishna's gonna deliver. It was still that thing, or like my doing equals some kind of outcome. And I feel like just in contemplation on this, I'm relaxing that idea a little bit, that because I do really believe that like we have to show up fully. And I know we hear that all the time. I hear that all the time. And so it's helpful for me, just as a side note, to figure out what like showing up fully even looks like. Because at first I was thinking that showing up fully looks like, calling a certain amount of people a week, and then like, directly related to like enrolling people in the course, calling a certain amount of people per week, doing workshops, doing some stuff online. And then I was like, no, because I think showing up fully has to look a lot more wide than that. And what I came up with was like kind of like orienting my whole life around this, and like going to sleep early and just getting in bed even if I can't fall asleep, waking up early and chanting my rounds and doing classes like this I don't feel prepared for, and just showing up like with each client, being like really slow and present, like to show up fully like all day long, not just because I want some outcome. Yeah, somehow that felt important too. And yeah, I'm gonna check. I wrote some stuff down, so I want to check and see if I'm actually saying anything that I wrote down. Oh yeah, this part was also really interesting. So I heard this lecture um, that said that all material things do. So right as I was really, really attached to this, where I was like totally in my, I went to a temple in Miami for the first time on Sunday. And I was like really attached to like everything in my mind that I needed to do. Like, who was I going to call after this? And I hadn't gotten my 5 meaningful conversations for the week. So who was going to be the 5th one, and all this stuff. And the lecture said, all material things do is just anchor us more deeply into this world. And that felt like a train hit me. Because yeah, it was like my idea was like, oh, I get to do these courses, and maybe it actually is a great opportunity to like make money and then use that money to like buy a house, and with that house I can like create, like a home that's an ashram, so like it's all dovetailed, and so give it to me. That was totally the mood I was in. And then I was like, but yeah, I think my real desire ultimately is to serve Krishna with love and devotion. And so those two things didn't seem like they were totally, like it's close, but it's not totally the same thing. It's still like serving me. It's still putting like me and my desire at the center. And so I was like, well, what do I do with that? Because I still have this desire. It's still really intense for me. It's still like, once that one thing is done, then I'll be happy. Like that's where happiness is. I still like really believe that. And then I was like, well, I guess the only thing I can do is just be aware of this desire, and try not to let it run my life, and just try and like, in each moment surrender more and more deeply, and like, and I feel like that just feels like relaxing, like even just inside of my body, just like being aware of what I want and why I want that, and then just relaxing around that. Yeah. So maybe it's not going to work out. Maybe I'm not going to get what I want, what I think that I want. Maybe that'll be okay too. So we'll see. And I just really I do love this principle that this verse illustrates for me, which is like, yeah, the sparrow just came to the ocean every single day. Like she knew what she wanted. She was super clear, and she was just taking, a little bit of the ocean at a time, and she was determined and nothing was going to sway her. And yeah, and then God was like, that's so cute. Like that's so endearing to God. Krishna's like, Krishna, they're like, okay, I'll help you. And so that's kind of the thing I'm holding on to. Yeah, that's all I got. So I'm curious to hear from you all what you think, what's alive in you as you hear this and read this.
Thank you, Casey. Hi, Krishna, back in Casey. Thank you for your class. Thank you for this verse. It's really wonderful to hear you read this verse, read the purport. And yeah, so much came up as you were sharing. So many principles you share, like, of course, it's wonderful to want to do business with Krishna. I'm giving you that, and you give me that, and I give you that, and you give me that. It is wonderful. It's better than thinking like, oh, if I please someone, human being or a demigod, then I will have getting my fruit, the fruit, or if I work very hard, it is a level, karma yoga, karma yoga and Krishna consciousness, I give to Krishna, I give me back, like that. And then you're realizing that, well, but Bhakti yoga, that's not. In Bhakti yoga, there's no karma. There's no anything creative. And it's about pleasing Krishna. And the little sparrow, she's determined and non-attached. She's amazing. She's really amazing. She's determined. Like with her little beak, I'm going to empty the ocean. She's not even thinking like how possible it is, or if it is possible. She's just like, okay, my eggs are in the ocean. I am a mom. I'm going to do everything in my power. And then, like, of course, like with non-attachment. And then Garuda came, and of course, Garuda could not have come, and it would have been good for the sparrow anyway. So you're looking at, okay, like, and it's interesting when you say my money, losing money, and to even go further in the reasoning is like it's not yours anyway. It's not yours to start with, because there's no cause and effect. Whatever money you have in your bank account, whatever money you receive every day, is Krishna's money.
So I was reading the Bhagavad Gita with Brielle and Marty this morning, or at 12, and it literally said, since everything belongs to Krishna, this is chapter 5, since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna.
Mm-hmm. And chapter 5 is entitled Karma Yoga in Krishna Consciousness. So that's it. That's it. It's, there's no money for you to lose, because there's no money that belongs to you. It's, it's Krishna allow you say, okay, you have that body, you have that money. Of course, it allow you to be in responsibility to the body, to whatever Krishna give you. And at the same time, it's you're not going to lose anything. It's just Krishna decide, okay, I want you to have less right now, or I want you to have more right now for some reason.
That's so much more comforting too, like when I think about it that way.
That's we are not very much in control of anything. And then you spoke about showing up fully, and for course organization, when you call people and all that, and after you realize like, wow, no, showing up fully means 100% now all the time. And, like be on contracts and be the course with every interaction. I remember once there was a course organizer, I would say 2006 or 2005. It was for the course Kelly was in, the first foundational course where Kelly was, I think 2005 or 6, something like that. And the course organizer, he went to each cup supermarket in Alachua. It's like a small supermarket in Alachua. And when he went to the cashier, he started an interaction. He was on contract. He was the course. He started an interaction with the cashier, and she registered for the course. So she wasn't on a list of 5 people, calling for my meaningful conversation. However, because of the spirit of like, I'm going to be in service, and I'm in service every moment, like not simply in those moments, but every moment, there is a devotee around that is ready to receive Krishna, or there is someone around who is like, want to take the course. And so it's about me being in the same way I'm in these calls, 100% showing up everywhere, all the time. Eating as a course organizer, sleeping as a course organizer, breathing as a course organizer. And really, it's like eating, sleeping, and breathing as a devotee of the Lord and servant of the Lord all the time. And then magic happened.
Yeah, that was, I spent a few weeks in Denver. I did the foundational course and I really did like participated 100%. And then I worked all week and I was really on contract with my clients and in doing service. And then I staffed the course again, it even like pushed me even more deeply to be on contract and be conscious. And then I got 6 new clients in like 3 days that were just came from magical places, like I didn't do anything else. And it felt like that was clear.
I hear stories like that too, a lot of people like they focus on chanting or reading, and all of a sudden what they were really working hard to achieve, getting client or registering people in course or things like that, just happened. With no cause and effect whatsoever. Oh, I did nothing for 3 days and somehow. Thank you for sharing. It's so nice. Hare Krishna. I see that Elena Ladini Avera.
Ladini.
Hare Krishna, dear Kessi. Well, thank you for your class. I really appreciate it. That's such a beautiful verse and purport, and like your realization, like touched me deeply. How you spoke about, and I want to like purely serve Krishna and not like settle in this like business attitude. So that was really touching for me, the distinction that you made. And I want to share some of my course stories because because well, like so many things that you shared like resonate with me so deeply personally. Like this story with Garuda and the little sparrow. It's one of my favorite Bhagavad Gita stories, but I didn't hear it for past like 3 years because when I was pregnant, I was praying to the Garuda to like protect my baby, and then my baby died, and I was so angry with Garuda. And I had picture of him that I like took off the wall. I wanted to destroy it, but I controlled myself and only took it off the wall, and like it's somewhere, I don't even know where it is now. But then when I was pregnant for the last time, I was still praying to Garuda. And then I felt like Garuda came and he embraced my belly. And I felt like, oh, finally Garuda came. And the next day I had miscarriage. But it still felt like so like reassuring that like Malini shared, like even if Garuda didn't come, it would be perfect. And I'm so much more moving to that. It would be perfect anyway. So this Garuda story is like it's very personal for me. And
I mean, I hear in that, that you were attached to outcomes. You were attached to having those babies, and to Garuda helping you.
He did it for the sparrow, so come on.
He did it for the sparrow. He should do it for you. And then at the same time, I also hear that like spirit of surrender in what you're saying, and like trusting, being angry, like being fully angry, and also trusting that.
I was praying to him, so he should have come.
Yes.
Makes sense. And then with the courses, it was literally interesting. Like I have a lot of experience when like I would organize a course and nobody was signing up. And then I would just say, okay, I will just go on Sankirtan. And I would go on Sankirtan and I would come home and there would be like 2 emails, like people registered like out of blue, like completely like people I didn't even know of till then. So I have experiences like this. And
Yeah.
also I did all of the courses that I organized, I did lose my money. And also I can see so clearly it wasn't my money, because in that period of time that I was organizing the courses, I made more money than ever in my life, and in like very simple way. Like it was just like the money were like flowing to me, and I could say they were mine, but I'm like 100% convinced that they were not mine. That just like they came for that.
Yeah.
And it was magical because like, yeah, for me, it was like really completely out of my budget thing. And it felt like jumping off a cliff. And then it didn't pay off, but the money came from like so many like completely unexpected magical places. So all of the experience was completely as I didn't expect. Like all of our 4 parents, my parents and my parents-in-law, came to the seminar and left after the ground rules. All things went like differently than I wanted to. And it was absolutely perfect from like looking from the safe future perspective. It's always easier to look in the history.
Right. I'm like really excited for the end of this year and like telling this story and coming back to it. But right now it's all anxiety.
Right. That would be a different story. But anyway.
Yeah. And the thing that I was hearing you say is that yeah, you really see this principle in your life of like, maybe what you're wanting is not coming in the way that you want it to, like the way that you're attached to it, but there's still, I don't even know the word for it, but it's like you can still feel Krishna's presence in like these tangible ways. And you see that it's because you're doing the thing, you're showing up, you're trying, you're taking that risk.
Yeah, and also like sometimes things do come in the way that I wanted. I have to say that. And then I am like, oh my God, I didn't want this. Krishna, why do you fulfill like my desire exactly to the dot? That's not fair.
Like when you designed it, it wasn't as great as you wanted it to be. Yeah.
Krishna.
Okay, Krishna. Thank you, Ladini, for sharing it. It like totally supports the idea of trust and surrender.
Yeah, so it's a jumping off a cliff experience. And then at the end, you might fly or fall or.
Yeah, but at least you jumped. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. So inspiring you are doing that.
Fly or fall, it's going to be auspicious anyway.
Anasuya.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for class this evening. And it brought me back to my first course organizing for foundational course and the advanced course, and my only 2 that I organized. The way it turned out.
Yours was the one you only organized one?
You only organized one foundational and one advanced course, and then
I went to your foundational. That was the one I went to.
And then you were supposed to come to advanced, and then you went to Spain, and so now you get to do your own course, which I think the similarities are funny because now you're organizing, and I don't know if you're interested in doing the advanced course while you're there, but that was pretty spectacular for me. So
I just did the advanced course in Denver in October, November. So that's what actually inspired me to do it. It was like the last day, and David tells the story about like, it only takes one person. I just like knew I was gonna do it in that moment. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and you're sharing brought up a lot of things, and part of me is like, I'm a planner. I'm very business oriented, and so I thinking that it's not mine, that it's all Krishna's, was also something that I struggled with because of my skills, because I have lots of skills that I felt were effective in course organizing, and just being like everything that goes with it for the venues and setup and arrangements, and communication with those that participating. So I think it all went well as far as like having that acumen for the business acumen of it. And then I liked the part of like everything depends on Krishna, which means like praying like everything depends on Krishna, but then actually, taking everything on full responsibility.
Mm.
And, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it's like everything depends on me, but it's everything like I pray to Krishna that everything is.
Yeah, work like everything depends on me. Pray like everything depends on Krishna.
Yes, exactly. So yes, I was reminiscing as you were sharing your process around whether or not it's successful or not. And I love Melanie sharing like to be the course every day. That was something that she also helped me with and coaching me as a course organizer, living, breathing, being a course organizer. Well, I also had a 40-hour job that I was doing.
Yeah, you can connect to how intense it feels, and also the challenge of like of really showing up as the course every day in your life. And I remember the foundational being super successful. We had so many people.
We did, and that's what I think is the most rewarding, is seeing the Krishna magic there, at the seminar, like really seeing it at work. And I've always appreciated anyone who staffed that the intention behind it is like a prayerful mood, like just to be always in service. And it's just so touching. Like there's no one else in the room except who's right in front of me, with that participant is just, and it could be a room full of people, but it's still that, that connection that we make in our dyads and the other activities that we do. And it's just so, yeah, it's amazing. It's just so amazing. So I really, I'm feeling like going down memory lane, and also just really appreciating what you're doing, like really grateful that you're continuing Savatove in Miami. So we get some new participants that possibly would not have come to North Central Florida or to Denver. So that's wonderful. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. I really liked what you said, that Krishna magic, like seeing it happen, being in the room, being in a prayerful mood. Whatever's happening in front of me and whoever's sharing is the most important thing. I love that. I staffed my first course, my first foundational a few weeks ago. And yeah, I loved that. I loved being in that mood. It felt like this is how I should live all the time.
And it's all energizing. Like I always felt like more energy when I left the course, totally. Even if it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, it was still like I was more energized. And then, my body didn't catch up with me until like days later.
Yeah, totally. That's been my experience in the courses in every capacity, is that, yeah, spirit is greater than matter. It's just so enlivening.
Absolutely. So beautiful to be with you this evening. I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Marcia, you were like the little sparrow, determined. I'm working 40 hours a week. I take care of my mom and my parents, and I'm going to have a big course. I saw you. You were so determined. I was just, okay, get out of the way. Anne is determined.
I like that. I want to emulate that. Be determined. Kelly.
Hello.
Hi.
That's weird on my phone. Thank you for your class. It's been so applicable in all areas, and in my still being on the fence about bringing the foundational to Atlanta. And I'm appreciating everybody's sharings, and how I loved the part about doing the course, and it either will succeed or it won't. And somehow I was like, oh, well, and if it doesn't succeed, then that's okay. Like that it's not a big deal if it doesn't, which it hadn't occurred to me. Like, of course it must be a success. Of course people must be there and I must be in the perfect place and everybody should have a place to stay, but it may not succeed. I just talked to my mom the other day, and she was needing a lot of support. And by the time we were done, I told her I was doing it, and she was like, "Well, I think I might. I think, will Marie be there?" So, I don't know if she'll be there, but David will be there. I said it'll be just as transformational either way. So, so that's inspiring.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure. Yeah, I like the idea of if it fails, it's okay. Like Krishna has some sort of plan, and I don't have to know about it. And it may be financially. I like that Ladini shared that it wasn't necessarily financially successful the first time, but that money still came. And so, like letting go of that piece, like that doesn't need to be a part of if I do the courses. So I'm just, yeah, I'm appreciating this whole thing of like fully surrendering. That's what I hear you sharing a lot about, Casey, is that just fully surrendering, and honestly, and Ladini just like going all in, as terrifying as it may be, and trusting that he'll work it all out. And as we've all experienced, the courses are magical no matter what. And I always said in the beginning, I don't know, David's just a miracle worker. And how did they know? How do they know what to do and what to say? And like, exactly. And Marie just knows. And it was just, I just thought you guys were like pure angels, and you are. And then I know that it's Krishna working through you, that you're Malini and dear Govinda have surrendered to his guidance, and he speaks right through you. He goes right where the person needs to go through you. And it's, so I just, like, he'll set it up just as it needs to be. So this talk has been really helpful. This class has been really, really helpful for me, and I appreciate everybody's sharing.
Yeah, thank you for your reflections. It clarifies and like validates the principle of surrender, and that it doesn't have to look like how I want it to look, and it'll still be perfect and complete. And then, like, it's not just up until the course happens that I need Krishna or that I need to surrender to Krishna. You know, it's like, it's not like that's the outcome and then what, you know? Like, I haven't thought past those dates. And it's, yeah, it's just sweet to hear you reflect that, and to hear that it sounds even remotely like I'm surrendering, because it doesn't feel that way all the time, but it's a sweet reminder that I can do that like every day, every moment.
Yeah, I appreciate your realization around that, especially most recently, like kind of getting to that place of like, I don't know what to do, like I'm so overwhelmed, and then that like creating the opportunity for the moment where you get to realize something deeper, where you get to connect.
And it's not, yeah, it's not just these 6 months, or it's not just this whole year or this course organization. It's like my whole life I'm held.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving class tonight.
Thank you for coming. And I'll definitely staff if you do it in Atlanta.
Yay! Good to know. Good to know.
And Kelly, I just wanted to add to your sharing. I appreciate what you shared and your realization and your excitement. And I'm glad for your mom. I'm really happy for her. And yeah, we had people our age taking even the advanced course not so long ago. And yeah, success and failure is duality. Because really, like, let's say there is a course with very few participants. Like Casey, you were in a foundational course. There was a very few participants.
It was 5, and it was perfect.
And it was Yeah, exactly. It was perfect, and it was probably the biggest success ever.
It was amazing. I had one of my clients went, and they were very like, and Brenda was, I don't know, I don't think Brenda will be upset with me sharing this, but she didn't want there to be only 5. She wanted there to be more people. She was, unhappy with that. And I, for my client, it was so life-changing for them. And I know that if there was any more people, they would have hidden and they wouldn't have shown up as fully.
Mhm.
And it was exactly what they needed. And it
It's
was
always
exactly perfect. Yeah.
It's always perfect because, like, in the same way, that's not our money, that's not our participants either. That Krishna know exactly who is supposed to take the course, where and how and when and with whom.
Yes. So the
And
foundational
so it's like a small number and losing money, it's perfect. A big number and making a lot of money, it's perfect. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's just because our mind is so trained in duality, good and bad, success, failure, that we kind of want to put something like that on our life, and it creates so much anxiety and stress.
Totally.
Yeah.
The foundational that I participated in when I did the obstacles process, it was about organizing the courses, and Brenda came up, she was staffing that one, and she came up to me, and the thing she whispered in my ear, which is the only part of this whole that I remember, was the courses organize themselves. Krishna organizes the courses, they organize themselves. And she told me that before we had the 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I also appreciated how you said when you first decided you wanted to do the courses that it was just like, no fear. Like,
of course I'm doing this. Yeah.
Exactly what you're going to do. And I kind of felt like that when I announced it in our advance that I was going to do it on my birthday. And David's like, oh, now you've done it. Like, oh, you're right. And yeah, and even though at the time I was like, I have no idea where. I mean, Atlanta's got to have a good spot. Obviously, there's probably many. And there's 7 million people here. And I know there's people who want to come here for the course because they're nearby through like Brenda and some other people that were in our advanced course. And so it was just like, it doesn't really matter all the details because it's happening. Like, that's just how it felt at the time.
And Kelly, the details were the easy part. Like figuring out where it was, where it was going to be, that was the easiest part. It's now it's getting people to, well, maybe it'll be different for you. And we'll have different challenges with it.
I had to step out the door real quick when Ladini was sharing, but I remember, if I'm incorrect, Ladini, please speak up. I think I remember when she was organizing a course, we were in the LMPI together, and I remember it was like she wasn't getting the people, and it was very last minute that a bunch of people showed up. I don't know if she shared that in this talk, but I remember being concerned with her and like hopeful for her, and then it all just came together like at the end, and it was very relieving. But I'm happy for her to iron that out if that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
I can share my most stressful experience of organizing a course if you
Please.
want. Okay. So my most stressful experience, where I got so much stress and anxiety and burned out and to the ground, was in December of 2017. I had a venue, and that venue had a lot of limitation because of bathroom. I couldn't really take more than 25 people, and then 25 people were registered, and then 30 were registered, and then it came around 37, 38, 40, and then I had to change venue, and it was just, we were like maybe 5-6 weeks away from the course, and then people continued to register, and I was thinking maybe we can rent porta potty, and I make research about renting porta potty, and it was so stressful, and it was the most stressful course I ever organized.
When you had too many people, the one with 80 people or something?
Yeah, yes. And really, the experience was the most stressful. So we cannot say like, well, the most successful is like the most happy. No, it wasn't happy. I had to redo the whole registration. Imagine registering 80 people in the morning for everybody to fill out their form and everything in 30 minutes. How do you do that? And so many problems came one after another to solve. And it was like the most difficult course to ever have, it's just a perspective I'm giving here.
Yeah, that it's not more
Like
is
we
not always
think like,
better.
okay, happiness means that and distress means that, but it's just the mind.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's just the mind. Thank you.
I remember in my first foundational course in 2005, it was pretty small. I don't remember how many were there. Like
Dear
12.
Govinda would remember the exact number.
You would know.
month and
You
day.
would tell us everybody's name.
My memories was like 14.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
It was a nice number. And I remember thinking when I came back again that I hope there weren't too many people, because like, how would everybody have time to share and like be able to really process and to be supported in their process? And even with the advance, like I felt my first advance, I felt like there were too many people. There was 19, and Lakshmi Priya was in that one too, and Kelly Pani. And it was, I thought it was too many people, but it was perfect. And so I love the idea of a small intimate group. And I didn't know they ever had one that was only 5 people. How lucky for you to be in a group with only 5 people.
Yeah, it was really great. We did a lot of I did the whole course again, because like we just like needed the energy as staff to be in the dyads. So, but yeah, it was great. Well, if we all feel complete, thank you for coming and sharing. It's been great to be with you. And yeah, this was fun. I'll do it again.
You do it again, please go to the calendar. And if there is no space, let me know.
Okay.
Because I move people around. I was like, come on. And then now the calendar is kind of filling up very quickly, but I want everybody to have a space.
Mhm.
So please make sure everybody like you create space for yourself if because there is some people who are registered for many classes. So like if you really want to make us be like the sparrow determine I'm going to give another Bhagavad Gita class. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm looking for both Anasuya and Kelly to give another one.
Jai.
Jai, yeah. You loved it. You don't remember when you love something, Kelly.
I
think
did
you are a short
enjoy.
memory.
I've given 3 now, and I've enjoyed them all. And Casey saw my first one.
Mhm. Well, you did one at the advanced.
That's the one. That was the first class I ever gave, was at the advanced.
And then one at Dear Govinda's.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for that one too.
Oh, yes.
And then
And-
Bhagavad Gita class, did you come for the Bhagavad Gita class?
I don't think I did. I couldn't make it. But I'll watch it online.
This has been sweet. Thank you, Casey, and everybody.
Okay,
Thank you. It felt really like cozy.
Nice. So you can say all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Bhagavad Gita.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Casey. It was very enlivening and sweet and invigorating and supportive of surrender. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for showing up.